drunk monks, flying ointments, and psychedelic beer. You're about to discover that the Middle Ages were way less dark and way more trippy than your history teacher ever let on. Forget modern-day party drugs. Medieval Europe had its own bizarre brew of herbs, potions, and narcotics that could knock you out, mess with your mind, or even make you believe you could fly. What kind of beer gave people hallucinations? Which plant was basically medieval LSD? And why were witches rubbing potions on broomsticks? Yes, that actually happened. This is the strange, shocking, and 100% real story of how people got high before the modern world even knew what high meant. Number 6. The very boozy Middle Ages. When you see some of the weird illustrations in the manuscripts of medieval monks, you can find yourself wondering what strange substances they might have been dabbling in. But truth is, medieval Europeans weren't tripping on cannabis, heroin, or cocaine. Those didn't show up in Europe until much later. What they were consuming, almost constantly, was alcohol. And medieval booze was definitely not your average pint. Modern beer is usually mellowed out with hops, a plant that helps you chill out. But back then, hops weren't the standard. In a lot of medieval Europe, they spiced their brews with wild herbs and flowers, some of which packed a serious punch, especially in places like Germany, Belgium, and the Netherlands. Beer was brewed with something called groot, a blend of botanicals like juniper, mugwort, and even henbane, which could be mildly trippy, or even downright dangerous. Depending on the batch, medieval beer could make you feel either sleepy or launch you into a full-on medieval rave in your mind. Basically, some of those old brews were the original party starter or party ender. Number 5. Ayahuasca, ancient Amazonian awakening. Deep in the rainforests of Bolivia, Peru, and the Amazon basin, indigenous peoples have been tapping into an even older mind-altering tradition, ayahuasca. This sacred brew has roots going back as far as 2000 BC, evidenced by ancient ceremonial tools like snuff trays and spatulas found at pre-Columbian archaeological sites. Ayahuasca is made primarily from the Banisteriopsis carpi vine. After harvesting, the vines are blessed, crushed into a pulp, and boiled, often with other potent plants containing DMT, a super powerful hallucinogen. Every tribe's recipe is a little different. Some stick solely to Banisteriopsis, while others add layers of intensity with a DMT booster. The brewing process isn't rushed. It can take an entire day to extract the psychoactive essence. And the resulting potion? It's extremely powerful, used both in sacred rituals and for communal ceremonies centered around healing, visions, and self-discovery. Those who have taken it describe a powerful altered state of consciousness that can include hallucinations, out-of-body experiences, and euphoria, usually lasting for about 6 hours. Number 4. Peyote, when reality just isn't enough. While the Puritans brought their old-world superstitions to America, indigenous cultures across the continent already had rich traditions of mind-expanding practices, centuries before any Europeans arrived. Records are a little scarce for the specific psychedelics used between the 5th and 15th centuries, largely due to the impact of colonization and disease. But archaeology and early colonial notes still give us important clues. In the American Southwest, tribes like the Huichol, Tonkawa, Mescalero, and Lipan Apache had already embraced the use of peyote, a small, spineless cactus loaded with mescaline, a natural hallucinogen. Traditionally, the top part of the cactus, called the crown, was either brewed into a tea or slowly chewed to fully unleash its trippy visionary powers. A peyote journey could last up to 12 hours, producing synesthesia-like experiences, deep emotional insights, and powerful spiritual visions. Artifacts show peyote has been used for at least 5,500 years, and today, It still plays a vital role in Native American spiritual ceremonies. Number 3. Opium, the medieval chill pill. One mind-altering substance that medieval Europeans did have in abundance, and still gets used today, was opium. Harvested from the opium poppy, this ancient plant is loaded with morphine and other powerful compounds that can ease pain, or send you into a full-blown psychotic episode, depending on how much you imbibe. Opium's history stretches way back to around 5000 BC. By the Middle Ages, it had traveled along trade routes from Persia to India and into Europe. By the 10th century, Persian doctors swore by it as a cure for deep sadness. Other doctors started using opium mixed with mandrake to create early anesthetics for surgery. Of course, medieval medicine was a little bit try at your own risk, and some doctors would warn that certain mixes could cause serious mania instead of healing. Still, opium was so prized that when Swiss physician Paracelsus came along in the 1500s, he hyped up a new form, laudanum, a super-potent mix of opium, alcohol, and exotic ingredients like crushed pearls and amber. Paracelsus bragged, "I have a secret remedy called laudanum that surpasses all other heroic treatments." Laudanum didn't really blow up in popularity until English doctor Thomas Sydenham adapted it into a go-to cure-all of the 17th century. Its use became so widespread that it was even given to babies to help them sleep. Number 2. Hallucination Nation, Medieval Edition. Psychedelics weren't just hiding in beer and medicine. They were also deep in Europe's folk magic traditions. One plant in particular, mandrake, was legendary. Its roots often resembled tiny human figures, feeding into its spooky, magical reputation. People believed it could treat everything from infertility to depression, but too much could send you spinning into a manic frenzy. In reality, mandrake was a catch-all term for several psychoactive plants: monkshood, henbane, valerian, datura, basically nature's pharmacy of intense hallucinogens. Many of these plants contained scopolamine, a powerful substance that messes with memory, vision, and perception. Another familiar face, deadly nightshade, or belladonna, famous not just for its mind-warping effects, but also for its beauty tricks. In Renaissance Italy, women used drops of belladonna in their eyes to make their pupils huge and their gaze more seductive. Kind of like a medieval Instagram filter, if Instagram occasionally killed you. Paracelsus had it right when he said, "Everything is poisonous. It's only the dose that makes it a remedy or a poison." Number 1. Brewing spells and stirring trouble. Beyond healing and magic, mind-altering plants found a serious niche in the world of medieval witchcraft. You've probably heard that the Salem witch trials might have been triggered by ergot, a fungus that infects grain and causes intense hallucinations. But medieval Europeans already knew about ergot, calling it St. Anthony's fire, and knew it came from bad bread, not bad witches. Still, ergot had its uses. In tiny doses, it helped midwives induce labor or stop postpartum bleeding. A form of ergot is still used in migraine treatments even today. Meanwhile, real witches, or at least accused ones, were reportedly using powerful mind-altering psychedelics on purpose. Medieval records from European witch trials describe flying ointments, which would no doubt be described as something like psychoactive body butter if they were being marketed today. This flying ointment was often made from deadly plants like belladonna, henbane, mandrake, and wolfsbane, mixed with some truly disturbing ingredients, such as rendered human fat. These ointments, when rubbed on the skin, especially on mucous membranes, could trigger vivid and wild visions of flying or shape-shifting. One 16th century doctor wrote about a girl who used the ointment and woke up claiming she'd been traveling. No horse or broomstick required. Oh, and that classic image of witches riding broomsticks? Yes, It might well have come from how they applied these hallucinogenic potions. I'll leave the rest to your imagination. So while modern drug culture often seems like a recent invention, humans have been seeking ways to bend reality for thousands of years. Our desire to explore other worlds, even the ones inside our own heads, is ancient, powerful, and pretty much unstoppable. If you enjoyed this wild ride through history, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more mind-blowing stories, and hit the bell so you never miss an adventure.